In this video, we'll discuss risk aversion and risk seeking. Risk means the probability of outcomes is known. If the probability of outcome is unknown, we use the term ambiguity. People tend to have ambiguity aversion, which means our tendency to choose an option with a known probability of an option with an unknown probability. When it comes to risk, our risk preference does not remain constant. It changes with potential gains and losses. We are risk averse for gains but risk seeking for losses. In an all or nothing scenario, you have two options. Option A, take a guaranteed $100. Option B, gamble to possibly win $200. Which option do you prefer? In an experiment, most people chose to take a guaranteed $100. Gamble may give you a win of $200, but there is still a 50% chance that you end up with nothing. It is a safe choice to take $100 and walk away. Here is another all or nothing scenario. You have two options. Option A, lose $100. Option B, gamble to possibly lose nothing or lose $200. Do you want to lose $100 or gamble to possibly lose nothing? In the same experiment, facing a potential loss, most people became risk-seeking and chose to gamble. If you win the bet, you have a 50% chance of losing nothing and a 50% chance of losing $200. People are more willing to take a higher risk to avoid a loss. Imagine you're running for a public office. Your constituents asked you to address a controversial issue. Reporters request interviews with you to discuss your stance or plans of how to address the controversy. You have two options. What would you do? Option A, do everything you can to avoid the controversial issue. Option B, announce a bold plan to address the controversy. What would you do? If you're like most people, what you would do depends on whether you are winning or losing in your election campaign. If you're ahead of other candidates in election polls, you're likely to choose option A, which is a risk-averse option. You want to be cautious because one single misstep can cost you a lot in the upcoming election. However, if you are behind or even trailing in the option polls, you are likely to choose option B, which is a risk-seeking option. You don't have much to lose. Why not take a risk and see what happens? To pull the United States out of the Great Depression in the 1930s, Franklin D. Roosevelt tried many precedent-breaking programs. Many of them succeeded, and others failed. Roosevelt had a predisposition to taking risks. When he was shouldering the responsibility to lead the country during the Depression, he had no problem with a trial-and-error approach by flinging things against the wall and see if they would stick. To choose an individual to take the helm of an organization, you can choose either an insider or an outsider. Which choice is riskier? Leadership succession is risky business. A board or committee tends to be risk-averse and select an insider. After all, an insider knows what the organization does and how it operates. By comparison, an outsider is risky. There is a chance that the outsider brings chaos and creates a toxic environment. But there is also a chance that the outsider generates substantially positive performance outcomes. How you move a computer mouse while deciding whether to click on a risky or safe bet may reveal how much of a risk taker you are. If your computer mouse drifted toward the safe option on the computer screen, Even when you ended up selecting a risky option, you are likely to be more risk averse than your choice would indicate. On the other hand, if you move the computer mouse toward the risk, before accepting the safe option, you are likely to be more open to risk than it seems. How much your hand is attracted to the choice you did not select and how much hesitation you experience can reveal a lot about how difficult the decision was for you. Our different responses to potential gains and losses can be explained by neurons in the medial prefrontal cortex, which responded more to loss than to gain. Risk aversion is influenced by brain activities in the hippocampus, which is associated with memory and anxiety. The past experience of loss is encoded in the hippocampus. The next time when we're in a high-risk, stressful situation, we prefer to be cautious after retrieving the memory of experiencing losses encoded in the hippocampus. How does a group's collective risk preference change? Different group decision-making procedures and rules can push a group decision to a caution side or risk side. First, when group members know one another's prior decisions, the group becomes risk-seeking. Second, the bigger the group size, the more risk-seeking the group becomes. Third, each group member's innate predisposition to risk tolerance also influences how risk-seeking a group becomes. Entrepreneurs are more tolerant of risk than non-founder executives. Putting a group of entrepreneurs together, they collectively make riskier decisions than those made by executives. Fourth, whether and how a group's risk-taking decision is rewarded shifts how much risk a group is willing to take. Many, if not most, organizational policies do not reward risk-taking behavior. When a group makes a bold move and then fails, group members are usually punished in some way. If so, why bother taking a risk? In this video, we talk about risk aversion and risk seeking. Our risk preference does not remain constant. It changes with potential gains and losses. We are risk averse for gains, but risk seeking for losses. Now it is time for you to provide an example of risk aversion or risk seeking and reflect on how it influences decisions made by you or the people around you. If you want to learn more about biases in leaders' decision-making, I've published a book titled Something Went Wrong: 52 Biases That Undermine Your Leadership Decision-Making. It is an annual workbook that reduces your biases and ensures that you make wise decisions. If you work on one bias each week, you will spend an entire year improving your decision-making skills. Throughout the year, this book will be your best companion as you make decisions that influence people in your family, teams, organizations, and communities.